Steve Ripley, President and Research Director of Futures and Forecasts Inc. in Vancouver, Canada. So studied philosophy, University of Alberta, Calgary, postgraduate philosophy, mid-60s, and research interests, artificial intelligence, computer science, biochemistry, biology, earth science, and big history. Steve?
Yes. Well, please tell me if my work around here would make sense to you. Otherwise, I'll just try to wing it. If any of you want to, you could go on your computers and just go to Google and bring up what is called the Flammarion image, a woodcut from medieval history. And this would give us a good idea for me to talk around. But if I just describe it to you, there are many versions of this. And it shows an individual, a so-called traveler or pilgrim from that period, peering out from the earth at the edge of the heavens. And this individual is gazing into where he believes heaven meets earth. And the question that I pose as one small part of my paper is, how do differing cosmologies through time narrate the observer role in cosmology? And because this is such a dramatic image, I was hoping to be able to show it to you and you would be able to speak, because I would really appreciate your feedback. Give me your ideas about how you would interpret the role of the observer from ancient times to today. Beside the Flammarion image, I also have an image from John Wheeler. Most of you will know his name through physics in the last century and his enduring influence in what he calls the participatory universe. And this bears upon his interpretation of the waveform and contemporary quantum physics. So that image shared with the Flammarion image are quite interesting ways to open the question about what is the role of, in our case, of course, we're talking about humans or other detectors. What is the role of human observation in interpreting cosmologies? So since we don't have the Flammarion image before us, maybe, David, if you Googled...
Yeah, I just put a link to the one that I found.
If you go to Wikipedia, you'll see immediately the image that I'm using. But as I say, Google itself will bring up 100 different images of this Flammarion. It's capital Flammarion.
Okay, very good.
It's a great image that, is exactly what big historians are doing, is peeking behind the curtain of the...
One interesting thing about it is that it seems to reference modernity's belief that only the waking world is worth paying attention to, whereas other cultures, it's sleep and drugs and all sorts of other things are ways of understanding the world.
Yes, I guess my response to that would be that insofar as we're trying to communicate together in English, and I make quite a deal about natural languages and artificial languages and so forth in the paper, we have no common language that I know of that covers all non-conscious or subconscious experience. So I would be glad to include it if you could email me a language that I could use to translate into English.
Altered states of consciousness.
Yes, altered states of consciousness. Yeah. I refer to those in the tribal traditions, what I call the intuitive traditions. But that, and I actually exclude those from my presentation to the extent that I'm trying to create a framework for big history. It's because it's a highly abstract presentation. I specifically say that it does not include various kinds of experience that are not covered by some kind of articulation in our usual languages, which includes, of course, science and the natural languages. Did that come through? I guess not.
Yeah, we're still hearing you. Yes.
What is it that you want to say about that image to us?
Lucy, I thank you for the question. And of course, how long do we have to talk? Really, I'm inviting you, if you care to, go to the abstracts a section of the IBHA presentation, and you'll see my email there, and I'd be happy to send you a copy, very happy to send you a copy of my draft to date. And it's lengthy and very dense and quite abstract. So I don't know if I can.
Can you just give us a general idea of what you're doing?
Yes, the purpose of the paper is to create a framework. And by framework, perhaps I can use this image again to give you an idea of what I'm after. You see the image before you, but of course, around the edges are the border of any frame presentation. And I'm discussing the construction through history of those frames and what are the crucial concepts and how they evolve. That's it. But it's at an axiomatic level of abstraction using ontology and epistemology that returns to the ancients and then comes forward through from the pre-Socratics, the Socratics, Aristotle, Plato, into the medieval, past the medieval, into, of course, the Newtonian, and then to general relativity and quantum theory.
Well, that instantly makes me want to include it in this curriculum as like the first conversation about, epistemology. How do we know anything, and the frames of reference? And so that's a great talking point for kids to understand that as we do the big history journey, the frames of reference matters significantly, and that kind of self-awareness is important for what we read and what we think and who we are.
I couldn't agree more. And the word, of course, that we've been using here amongst the colleagues is foundational. This is the foundations of any big history. So it would have to be included insofar as big history is presented in symbolic logic or in English. I make a point of, in a section I called constraints, to say that with regard to certain kinds of experiential presentations, this I do not assume that English covers all such experiential ways of representing reality. But to the extent that we're going to include science and English, it does.
So I have just posted in the chat a link to his draft paper, which I put in our folder. So I hope everyone can get to it that wants to. Please let me know if you can't, because sometimes I believe it's in a shared folder and a shared link. So on page 13, you do have that image that we see, but then right next to it, you do have the participatory universe by Wheeler.
Yes.
That one I'm actually more familiar with. And I think that one is a very interesting one of, kind of again, going back to like a Carl Sagan quote, that we are how the universe knows itself, right? The kind of the you, where it kind of started, the universe developed and eventually developed conscious beings like ourselves that were able to study the universe and kind of see back all the way to the beginning. Kind of a very nice diagram, kind of showing that kind of, I think, the meaning behind that quote. It's and of course that's from John Wheeler, who was before. I think he did it before Carl Sagan. John Wheeler lived quite a long time, but
yes.
Okay, so I think those who want more, you can kind of take a look at his paper that I posted on there. And you do develop that quite a bit. Yeah, see with the references, it's well, a lot of references. It's like 17 pages without the references, and then a large number of references that are in there. So I think very well researched, and I think this is an important part of, again, the creative part of Big History is trying to understand the images and how we convey it. And the research group had met a year or so ago talking about various pictorial images of Big History. The U might have had something like the U, but we did not have the Flammarion image in there. So that would be a good one to add. But I think that, really the images can be quite powerful in terms of, conveying the story or a concept like that U does very quickly. And so I think it's kind of important that we do take a look at these ways of communicating Big History.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Any other comments or questions on that?
I guess I could suggest that, or invite really, is individuals' response to either of those images. In particular, the Flammarion allows sort of a quick entry to this problem because it's so direct and humanized. And by that, I mean that we can imagine all of us trying to search for meaning in the universe. And depending upon how one envisions oneself in that position, it's going to make a difference, of course, in what kind of universe it is we're imagining might be realizable. And I want to say, David, thank you very much for putting that out there, the link. And I would appreciate any feedback. That is a preliminary draft, and there's lots more to do, but that's the kind of start that I would enjoy, is receiving any kind of feedback on that.
Very good. Thank you. Todd?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate you bringing this question to our awareness. So I love this image. I used to use this a lot I teach cosmology classes, and I used to use this as a way to get the students discussing, and
Right.
because, like you said, it's so concrete and immediate. So you asked for reactions, kind of, and I think one of the first things that comes to my mind in looking at this and thinking about what you're saying is that we're always in this kind of predicament where we're both inside the universe that we're trying to describe, and we're kind of a perspective that goes outside of it. And so just how to think about that dilemma or that paradox, right? That we're, like in the picture, you see the person looking out into the part of the universe they see as something that they are outside of. And yet, as we learn in big history, we're also, like Dave said, we're a way for the universe to know itself. So it just brings to mind that question of how do we reconcile being both in our description of the universe and also a perspective that's outside of it.
Todd, precisely. Thank you. And that's what my paper is about.
Okay.
And the history of that problem.
Very cool. Looking forward to reading it.
Yeah, Lucy, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, hey. So I didn't get as far as I wanted to in my presentation, but I kind of, proposing a new term of art, that the anthroposphere is the name of something that is like the noosphere, or it's everything. So in my pictures, it would be all of that stuff above us. It would be the physics and the chemistry and all of that. But the anthroposphere is an agent in the universe, just like the biosphere and the hydrosphere and the atmosphere are. And it includes all of the subconscious norms and values and things that society that is embedded in the city's category. But by naming it, it began the minute we heard the echo of the Big Bang, because now the human gaze has gone with our eyes all the way to the beginning. And so if we name it the anthroposphere, and I'm pretty sure you guys get what it is that I'm talking about, it's the curtain, and then we can start poking and prodding it and measuring it and testing it and trying to work with it so that it allows the planet to continue functioning. That is another piece of this thing, was this proposed new term of art, which is, coining a new term, anthroposphere.
Lucy,
Comments?
Pardon me.
Yeah, go on.
That really interests me. You mentioned measuring it. How would you organize the measurement of it?
Well, just the imagination that we can hold a sphere, understand a sphere of impact in the cosmos that is the most recent one, and that it's human made, and is then it just allows you to mentally thought experiment, measure, quantify, look for positives and negatives, do an analysis of all the categories you want to look at, like the other like what are the energy levels, what are the how fragile is it, using panarchy, which stage are we at? It just allows you, it's just a metaphor so that you can talk about it, you can analyze it, think about it, do research on it.
Do you imagine that as something that mathematics could attend to at all, or is it non-mathematizable?
So the way I've dealt with math in this is to put it in chapter 1, and then chapter 1 goes through all levels, and the kids learn math in context by studying, okay, what's the math? What's the math that's helpful in chemistry? Is it, algebra? Is it geometry? And then, so that math is always a tool that we look at everything. I'm very intrigued with the idea that a physicist says that the universe is mathematic, that we discover these things because they're actually out there. But right now, I take it at face value, it's just a tool for humans to understand their world and get some predictability in it. So to ask the question, what math tools can we use to understand the anthroposphere? That just opens a door that now can be walked through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, Carl.
Yeah, looking at this observer problem with
Steve, could you
this,
stop sharing so we can all see each other?
Oh,
Here's the contact info for Steve BB.
Okay. Yeah, talking about this observer situation and the experience that accompanies us if we look out into the cosmos and explaining. I mean, it is basically impossible to experience the rotation of the Earth, but we through these mirroring out, for example, what Kepler did, the trajectory of the Mars, and then by inference applying this to the Earth. So we're rotating around and at the same time flying around the sun. This is not only an observer issue. This is now basically this practical issue. Well, now when we say the Mars flies this and this and this far away, how do we get there? Because now you have basically this, after you meter this out, how this thing flies, now you can actually go there. And that's the whole difference to all these previous, some kind of observation references. All these other cosmologies basically don't have this metering accomplishment under their belly, basically. So we're talking, when we talk about a paradigm change, you always talk about, from now on, this is something that is basically only understandable. You have to follow, what did Kepler actually do? How did they accomplish this to find out how this thing flies? And then the crazy part was get the dynamic. When this thing flies away from the sun, it decelerates. When it comes back, it accelerates. So you get the real motion of this thing, and it is clear. You see it with this basic formula of velocity. You get a first geometric kind of understanding. It's not the mechanical side of it yet, but you can meter out. Oh yeah, it gets slower, flying away, and then it comes back. And now you're dealing with this, and Newton had to then come and put this force in place, gravitation, which then was. I mean, we can't touch this. I can never directly experience gravity or something. But the funny thing is, we have actually the limbic system. We have the inner ear that detects gravity. So we have something in our body that makes us basically cosmological beings just from the senses. I majored in psych, so this was one of my entry, get really interested in perception to understand, we have actually a sixth sense. And it was, I guess, discovered by Perkinyi. I think it was a Russian guy. And then in order to explain their organ, you need actually Newton's theory, you need gravity basically nailed down as a physical force. Now you can explain the organ you have in your inner ear. And I see, this is what this modern way of science is actually intruding into our own bodies and the reality outside on this explanatory level. But you need to basically analyze and synthesize. That is a foundational thing for all these sciences. Hi.
All right. Thank you. So I think that concludes for the symposium, unless other people have other comments on the conclusions or recommendations about what went right or what went wrong with this. If you have any comments later, please send them to me. I'd like to know. I think this was very successful. I really appreciated everyone coming here. I know at peak we had 32, but people came in and out kind of as they had to. We know everyone's very busy, so I know that was, the number of people who actually joined was higher than the peak at any one time. And I know that people are asking, at least the teachers of Big History Project, asking for where the videos are of this. So they're already interested in that, and others of you who already shared the link with others. So it's not just the people who joined live, but now we have things online with the videos, and people can take a look at them. And so I think this has really generated a lot of interest in what the papers will be also, right? So this nice little video gives them introduction to what the paper is, and they'll be hopefully looking forward to the papers and reading them. And I am also. So any comments or conclusions other than that for the conference? Just wanted to say thank you to Ken Baskin, Ken Solis, for helping with the timing. I know that the timing is a difficult position to be the one not really liked, but that was done well. Lowell, for working with the videos. That is very nice. So we're kind of getting those videos up very quickly. And I'd like to introduce and say thanks to Helen Kybera, I believe is how you pronounce your last name, from Jacksonville State University in Alabama. She will be helping review some of the papers when they come in. So thank you very much, Helen, for getting involved with that. Carl, questions?
Oh no, I have to take my hand down. But
okay.
just thank you so much, David, and for everybody that organized this. I mean, I really, really appreciate what you all did. It was amazing, really an amazing experience.
All right. Thank you, Carl. Thank you for your discussions and talk. Excellent. Alexander?
Oh, just to thank you again, Dave. Fascinating meeting, very interesting discussions. I hope to be more close to the association and follow other meetings. Thanks again. I know how it's difficult to organize a meeting, and thank you for all your efforts to do that for us.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you very much for, again, participating in this. This is, it was very nice. I know this virtual meetings are a lot easier than to organize in real meetings in person, and a lot less expensive. Obviously some downfalls, some disadvantages, but I think in this case, advantages outweighed the disadvantages. And thank you very much for participating and being on time and respecting the rules and having great discussions. It's very good. So, again, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, just send me an email. Let me know. Work on your papers. Read other papers. Look at videos that you hadn't seen live or whatever. Because we want some reviews and discussions of some of the other papers also. All right. So,
Congratulations, Dave. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave.
All right. Very good. So again, thank you very much, and hopefully see you again soon sometime, and looking forward to working with you and your papers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
We're done.